This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 270 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network. This episode is sponsored by Benefab Products, Total Saddle Fit, and EasySignsOnline.com.
This is Lindsay McCall from Jupiter, Florida.
And this is Ellie Brimmer from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show, brought to you by the United States Para-Equestrian Association. And we also have our producer, Glenn, with us.
Hi, guys. Good to have you back.
Thank you. I'm glad to have Ellie on the show this week.
I am so excited. Yeah. It is the last show before the World Equestrian Games. It's so exciting.
I can't believe it's here already.
No.
I can't either. It seems like just yesterday I was walking around the Kentucky Horse Park for 16 days. So it's it's amazing how fast time flies. And of course, we at the United States here and a lot of other countries have teams heading over for Para-Dressage. And I had fun during WEG last time, hanging out with some of the athletes there at Para-Dressage. This is unique because at the Olympics, the para happens after the main Olympics, and then there's the Paralympics. But at WEG, they happen at the same time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, correct. Yes, they. It's all inclusive. It's actually happening, which is kind of harder for us. It's happening during dressage.
Oh,
so
really?
It's a little more difficult for people who want to see both para-dressage and the able-bodied dressage. But we're excited that it's all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
It makes it more included.
Now, do you know anything about the venue? So, what's the the stadium and all that stuff? Where are you guys going to be riding? Do we know about that yet?
We do have the venue information. Unfortunately, the able-bodied dressage and the para-dressage are different venues.
Okay.
Yes, we're actually the para-dressage is on the I think it's on the race course.
Yep. They're having a lot of stuff at the race course. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, and I forget the French name of where it is actually, but it's up on the race course, and it's a pretty far distance, like Ellie just mentioned, from the able-bodied dressage.
See, and that's one of the things about this WEG that's different is it's all spread out. I mean, there's an hour between some of the venues. It's not like we were spoiled at the Kentucky Horse Park where everything was right there. You have to take transportation and figure out how to get from place to place if you have tickets for multiple things.
Yeah.
Now, so can you tell me about the U.S. team? Tell me who's on it and, a little bit about the people and the horses.
Yeah, sure. Well, we have the four main riders. And Ellie, you can chime in too. We had Rebecca Hart from Pennsylvania.
Hey, Rebecca!
And,
of course, she's been a regular on this show.
Yep, and she's actually.
Go ahead.
Oh, she's our only veteran on the team. The rest of our team are new people.
Oh, is that right?
It'll be their first team experience.
Well, that's not true. Don't forget about Susan. Susan's a WEG veteran.
Susan was on the WEG. Yes, excuse me. Sorry, I forget about that. But yeah, Susan, and then we have one rider from each grade, actually, which is great, including we have Roxanne Trunnell in 1A and Sydney Collier, who will be on the call later as a 1B. Becca's our 2, and Susan is a grade 4 rider, and Susan Trebus is a grade 4 rider, and those are all our team riders. And then we have Annie Peavy representing us in grade 3 as an individual.
Susan Trebes was our spotlight rider for the World Equestrian Games in 2010. We did the World Equestrian Games radio show for 2010, and we followed her for a couple of years and got to be good friends with her and got to spend some time with her at the WEG, and her husband, he's a great guy, too. Yeah, he is the ultimate horse husband. He's got it down.
Oh, for sure. Scott's such a nice guy.
Yes.
We're happy to have her back after she had her baby and be back in competition for us. So.
I'm excited that she's back too. She works hard and she, really is making an effort to make a living at this. So she, I'm really excited that she gets to head over to France. And then, Rebecca Hart has, of course, been on the show many times and has been doing very well. She works with the team coach, Missy Ranshausen. And, I think, she, I'm looking forward to good things from her, too. What horse is she riding?
So she's riding Schroeder's Romani. And not only does she own that horse, but she has an entire group of people that own that horse, including Margaret Dupre and Torino Farm. Yes, she does ride with Nikki Ranshausen, but the chef de keep from here till the next Paralympics is Kai Hunt.
Yep.
Now, so but she has a lot of experience, and yes, she's a 2-time Paralympian, and what is she, a 6-time, I think, national champion? So yep, she's been in the sport for a while, and she's doing a great job.
So who's the biggest competition again? Is it the British again, or who's coming to the forefront here as the team to beat?
Yes, England is our big competition, and also it's similar to able-bodied. Germany also usually fields a very strong team. And then also the Dutch as well. And it'll be interesting to see what Ireland does, because they really surprised everybody with their bronze medal performance in London. So it'll be interesting to see if they're able to replicate that at these games coming up.
I have a question. How much of it, and I don't want to ask this, I'm trying to ask this in a correct way. Does the horses, just like in able-bodied dressage, the horses play some factor in this? So is it always a quest to find the better horses, and do the teams with the better horses tend to do better? Is that a dumb question? I'm not sure.
No, it's not.
No,
absolutely
not at all.
It's similar. We have to compete. Not only do we have to find horses with with outstanding gaits, but we also have to find the horses with the temperament to be able to do the para-dressage. So you're always, everybody's always trying to develop horse-rider combinations and looking towards the future. But also because our tests are not as long and have as many complicated movements as like a Grand Prix test, there's a stricter focus from the judging perspective, I think, at least as a rider, on accuracy. So, not only do you have to be just right on the money with everything that you do in your tests. There's no margin for error, really.
So and as a judge, they're not looking at what challenges you guys have physically. They're just taking a look at, okay, is the horse doing the movement that he's supposed to be doing correctly?
Yes,
just like able-bodied.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. Okay.
They try to omit any empathy they may feel.
Because that's got to be hard. Although dressage judges are pretty tough, but that's got to be hard. I mean, as a human, to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that and then there's a lot of riders that you can't see what their disability is.
Oh, true.
So then that's almost like a falsifying. You're like, oh, that person's such an amazing rider, and you had no idea they couldn't even use their legs.
Yeah.
And so that also, the judges can't look at those things, but they look to make sure that the movements are exact and correct, like Ellie had mentioned.
So are we pretty much saying that dressage judges aren't human? Is that what we're saying here? Just kidding. Don't send your emails.
5-6 minutes in the ring.
No emails. Don't send me emails. I was just kidding. So now you have, and I know this has always been a challenge in the past, and even when it was here in the United States, funding has always been an issue to get the team there and to get everybody, all the support people there. Is that been going well this year? How have you guys done on that front?
Well, funding-wise, we are doing, I guess, better than probably we've done in the past. Unfortunately, as everyone knows in the equestrian world, that a lot of the time that the funding falls back to the rider. So there is some help through our foundations and our organizations, of course, but there's always that extra to get everybody else over there. And with para-dressage, I feel that it's a little different because they also need assistants and helpers and a few extra staff members. So would you agree, Ellie?
Yeah, it is. Definitely. And it's, especially for the lower grade riders, they're going to need need more assistance, and we have more equipment like wheelchairs and things like that have to come over with us. And so it's a challenge to fundraise, but we're always working hard. And right now we have a great matching grant program going, and maybe Lindsay, you can talk a little bit more about that.
The Jonathan Wentz
fundraising.
Yeah, it's through the USET Foundation, and it's the Jonathan Wentz Memorial Challenge. And what it is, it's actually not for this WEG. It's for our next quad. We're raising money, and they're matching funds. And for every, obviously, dollar that you donate, they're donating $1 for the whole team, for the Para-Dressage team. So I have more information on that if anyone's interested. But it's we're excited because that'll definitely help us in the next quad as we get up to the Paralympics and beyond.
Yep. Yeah, we have to take the long-term view of things as well, and it's always a challenge to get the funding, but to get the horses over there and through a lot of hard work and determination, we usually pull it off.
Well, I'm very excited to follow all the progress and everything that's happening over there. We'll check in next month. We'll make sure we get a hold of Hope or somebody over there for some live reports. Now, before we get started with your first guest, by the way, Sydney is your first, Sydney Collier, and she has to be the youngest person on the team, or for sure.
Mm-hmm.
How old is she?
I can't remember. Is Annie Peavy 17 as well? I think, Ellie, do you know?
Yes, at least on the team. I know Annie's an individual, though, but she is representing the United States.
Is there a minimum age or you have to be?
16 is the minimum.
16? Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. So we're going to have her on and also her groom coming up later in the show. So we have both of them coming up. But before we go any further, we've talked about Lindsay being extremely pregnant. And since we talked to you the last time, I thought you were going to have the baby, but apparently you're not quite due yet. How are you surviving in the Florida heat, being 9 months pregnant?
Well, everything was good up until our air conditioner went out for a day, and it lasted for about 2.5 days. And now I feel awful for anybody who's pregnant who doesn't have air conditioning, because that was some of the worst hours of my life.
And we hit about 100 degrees down here too, so it was definitely hot.
Yes. It was hot, and I've been like, oh, those pregnant people just complain about everything, and when I experienced it for myself, it was all over with. I jumped into the car and turned on the air conditioner and said, that's it, until our repairman comes.
Now, has your husband been surviving? He's living through this pregnancy thing too?
Yeah, he's great. He's great. Of course, he's 6'5" and has this enormous stride, so he has to walk a little slower now, or I tell him just to go into the store, and I will catch up when I get there.
That's funny.
But I'm at the uncomfortable moment. I'm at the larger-than-life moment where your feet are fat and your arms swell in the morning, and everyone looks at you. It's hysterical, the looks I get. People are like, oh, my God, is she going to give birth any moment? So it's pretty funny.
You will warn us if that happens during the show, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, okay. Say something before you run away, okay?
Yes.
Right,
doctor said it within the next 3 weeks. Soon enough, we'll have a baby here.
Ellie and I can finish without you if you have to go, okay? All right.
Okay.
We can handle it. Well, we're going to hear from one of our terrific sponsors at Benefab Products, and if you've never taken a look at any of their products, you really should. They're a terrific company that has been a sponsor of the Dressage Show for some time now, and we all use their products, actually. So I know Reese and Philip use their products, and we use their human products here at the studio. So let's hear from Benefab, and then we're coming back with one of the youngest members of the U.S. team representing us over at the WEG.
Are you tired of treating your horse for soreness? Well, then be proactive. Benefab offers you and your horse a natural remedy to joint and muscle stiffness, inflammation, and circulatory deficiencies. Benefab offers a variety of innovative products, like saddle pads and polo wraps and quarter sheets for your horse, and socks and blankets for you. Simply ride in it or wear it, and feel the difference Benefab's ceramic-infused products make. You can check them out online at benefabproducts.com, or you can call them toll-free at 855-957-8378.
Next, we'd like to welcome Sydney Collier. She is from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and she is our 1B representative for grade 1 on our team for the World Equestrian Games for Normandy, France. And she will be riding Willie Wesley. So, Sydney, last time I saw you, we were at Gladstone together for National Championship. And I'm so excited that you made the team. How do you feel, especially because you're our youngest one at 16?
I am honestly, I'm so thrilled with how much all of my hard work has been paying off. And it's such an honor to represent our amazing country and to do it on two amazing horses, too. It's just the way everything's worked out has made me so incredibly happy.
Oh, I'm sure. And now, you had two horses that were on the short list for the team. What was it like preparing both horses for the selection trials?
It was quite an experience, that's for sure. Especially having one horse in New York and one horse down in Texas. We had to be very strategic about how I split up my time in both places to train as much as I possibly could with both of them. And I have to say, for me, it was a really cool experience getting to ride both of them and get to know both of them, and they both were just incredible for me.
Yeah, it was really fun to see you work with both of them in Gladstone. And now, after Gladstone, what was your training plan leading up to going over to Normandy?
So after Gladstone, we went back to Millbrook, New York, where the horse Copley is at West Dunham's barn, Woodstock Stables. A lot of W's. So we went back there, and we really sat down and got specific with what I needed to work on, what I needed to perfect in order to be the best rider I could after getting all the feedback from Gladstone and also the other competitions that I had done on both Copley and Willie Wesley. So for me, it was a lot of evaluating what needed to be focused on most, and I would ride 6 days a week to keep myself in shape and to keep Copley in shape as well. And a big part of it, too, was my fitness program, getting really, really, really serious about my fitness program so that I can be as fit as the horses are.
For sure. And now you're currently training in Texas with your WEG mount, Willie Wesley. How's that going?
Oh, my goodness. It is going amazingly. I cannot begin to even vocalize how awesome he is as a mount for a para. He's really been great about adjusting to my body. He has his own owner, Victoria, down here, who is completely able-bodied, and both of us ride him every day, and he's great about readjusting to whichever one of us is riding him at that time.
So give us a little background on Willie. How old is he? Breeding? What's he trained to do?
Willie is 15 years old, and he's a warm blood. He's a Grand Prix dressage horse, bred to do dressage, and he's been with NTEC most of his life, I believe, and his owners right now are the Dugan family, and they were nice enough to lend him to me to qualify for WEG and take over to WEG. So that was really touching that they would do that for me.
And Sydney, when you over the last few years, you've been riding all types of horses and looking at those different riding styles because you've used one hand, you used both hands, you've used your brace. What are you doing with Willie now that as we prepare for WEG, what is your riding style with that horse?
Right, so now with Willie Wesley, I ride one-handed, and it took a really long time for me to adjust to riding one-handed. And a lot of people would think, oh, one-handed would be more difficult than riding two-handed. But for me, since my left arm doesn't work the way we want it to, it actually freed up a lot of movement in my body and made it easier for the horses to understand.
Mhm. And what kind of exercises have you guys been working on in the ring together as you guys get ready for everything?
Right now, what we're focusing on most is geometry because since I'm a visually disabled rider and I can only use a quarter of my vision in my left eye to see, really, I have to look at much different points than people who have all their vision look at to ride a geometric test. And so my trainer, Wes, has been really awesome about adjusting his teaching to help me be able to see as well as I possibly can.
So, Sydney, as an athlete preparing to go over to WEG, what is it like to, I guess, get everything together, all the paperwork, get the horse transportation? What is it like? Can you kind of give us a synopsis of everything?
Yeah, so this is my first time ever traveling overseas with a horse, and it's a lot of paperwork, to say the least. And my mom and I have been great about coordinating, getting everything together, and I'm also actually flying over with my service dog, Journey, and we're getting all his paperwork together, all his vet stuff, so we have double paperwork to do, and it's been quite the experience.
And how long are you guys in training camp for?
We're in training camp for 8 days total. We head over, our flight for Amsterdam is August 11th, and then we head from Amsterdam to Aachen, Germany, and we're in Aachen for 8 days. Then we head to Normandy, to the actual show venue on the 22nd, I believe.
Oh, fun.
It'll be great. And now all this traveling is obviously very expensive, and there's some support from USEF. But what is the additional kind of fundraising you've been doing?
So yeah, as you can imagine, flying a horse is very expensive. Flying a human, let alone, is expensive. And for us, I've been lucky enough to be able to tie in some of the fundraising with my public speaking that I love to do to raise awareness for our sport.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of talks to 4-H's and a lot of talks to other people to try to inspire them, and sort of through that I kind of tie in the financial aspect, and they have been so amazing about donating products, to do online auctions and silent auctions and like all different aspects of fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
And
now, what is your schedule like leading up to the training camp? Are you flying over at the same time as the horse?
So yeah, our schedule is extremely busy. Actually, we head back to New York. We're there for a couple of days, and then we go to quarantine in Gladstone at the headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're there. It's a 48-hour quarantine before you fly over. So we're there. Then we head to the airport, and Willie Wesley and all the team horses are actually all flying on the same plane over to Europe with us, which I think is the coolest thing ever, is that we're flying on the same plane as our horses. Yeah. I never knew that there were human and horse flights. Pretty cool.
I would like to take one of those. So are you going to have any fun over there while you're over in France? You maybe visit Paris?
Yeah, actually, after the games, my family and I were going to go over to Paris for, I think, 5 days or so to really explore it and get the whole experience, which will be incredible.
That'll be amazing.
You have to make the most of it for sure. Okay, well, Sydney, we wish you the best of luck over there, and I know that Lindsay and I will be cheering for you, even though we will not be there, sadly. But I know we have the highest hopes for Team USA, and I'm sure you guys will represent us well.
Yeah, I'm honored to be on such an amazing team, and all my teammates. I can't even put into words how awesome they are and how exciting it's going to be representing our country over there.
Total Saddle Fit, the shoulder relief girth that Reese and Philip both love. And here's why.
The saddle fit solution you have been waiting for is finally here. TotalSaddleFit.com is proud to introduce the shoulder relief girth. This strategically shaped girth actually moves the girth line of your saddle back over 1 inch, thereby freeing your horse's shoulders from the saddle. Traditional girths pull saddles up against a horse's shoulders and often over the top of the shoulders. The shoulder relief girth's recessed ends allow for the billets to buckle into the girth farther back to give your horse unparalleled freedom of motion. We are so certain that your saddle will fit better and your horse will be more comfortable that for a limited time we are offering a 30-day, 110% money-back guarantee. If you are not totally satisfied with your shoulder relief girth, send it back for a full refund plus 10% of the purchase price. Don't wait. Order now for the best saddle fit solution available.
At TotalSaddleFit.com. Visit TotalSaddleFit.com. Easy Signs Online is the official sign company of the Horse Radio Network. This week's product highlight are their personalized nameplates. Perfect for horse stalls, tack rooms, lockers, bedroom doors, dog kennels, or whatever you can think of. Choose from hundreds of online graphics to further customize the nameplates from EasySignsOnline.com. Made from 1/2 inch thick solid PVC signboard, these colorful and unique one-sided nameplates are 3.5 inches by 16 inches and are designed for durability, long-term indoor or outdoor use. They are only $39.95 each, and remember, free shipping on most orders over $100. Visit them at EasySignsOnline.com.
Up next, we have Amy McElwain. She is the past owner of one of Sydney's horses named Wentworth. And she's been there along the way the last few years, keeping up with the Colliers. And she's been invited to go over to WEG and be the groom for Sydney. So it'll be fun to hear from her about what's kind of behind the scenes. So, Amy, thanks for coming on the show tonight with Ellie and I.
No problem at all. Thank you for having me.
She's going to be grooming for for Sydney, who was just on the call a little bit ago with us today. And so tell us about how you and Sydney met.
It's kind of a bit of an interesting story. I had been thinking for a little while. I'd had Wentworth, the horse that Sydney has been riding for a few years now. And I guess I'm his old owner. And I had been thinking for some time about selling him. And we had always toyed with the idea of him being a para horse. And I happened to be keeping an eye on Robert Dover's blog, and he had posted something that he had received from Sydney's grandmother. And I just thought one of those things, it popped up on my Facebook feed, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to get in contact because they were looking for a horse for Sydney to take to Gladstone for the Nationals. And I thought, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity. I might as well bite the bullet. And long story short, the information was passed on to Sydney and her family, and she got in contact with me. And although we couldn't make it work for Wentworth to go down to Gladstone, they actually were really quite interested in Wentworth just in general for a horse for Sydney's future. So they asked me if there was any way they could come and look at him, even though the Nationals had come and gone, and they were still very much interested in him as a horse. And I said, of course. And so Sydney and her mom and her grandmother made the big trip up with their coach, Wes, and came up to Canada and came and tried Wentworth for a weekend. So that's kind of, long story short, just happened to be thanks to one of Robert Dover's blog posts that we happened to cross paths. So
that's amazing. And what about your riding background? And were you riding Wentworth before, or no?
Yeah. I'd started riding when I was 7, and I was doing the young rider ranks up until I was 21. And I sort of made the decision when I graduated, I guess, out of the young rider ranks to purchase a young horse and develop it along. And Wentworth happened to be that horse. And I bought him as he had just turned 4, and we brought him over from Germany. And I had him for a couple of years and showed him up until second level, I guess. And he always did really, really well. And I really enjoyed him. And like I said, the sort of random reason that he wound up going to Sydney was kind of a bit of a fate thing happening. But I was showing him up until the year before she came to try him. So he had been my horse for about 5 years before she came. Yeah.
Wow.
And what was it about him that made you think he would be a good para horse, and what made him work well with Sydney?
To be honest, a friend of mine, Jessica Rhinelander, who actually coaches Jody Schloss, who's one of the para riders from Canada, had always told me, she said, you know what, I think he would be a wonderful para horse. And she always kept trying to jokingly steal him away from me for her riders. And both Jody and Robin Andrews, who are both riding for Canada, had actually ridden Wentworth beforehand. And so it was sort of one of those, it was a bit of a leap of faith. And even when Sydney first came to try him, she actually had a broken ankle at the time. And she was riding him with no stirrups. And he had never really been, aside from Robin and Jody riding him once each, had never really been ridden by a para rider. So it was an interesting first couple of days. But Sydney was so great with him. She sort of, she went up to him and was so comfortable with him right away, and he was completely comfortable with her as well. And so although he had never really had any previous para experience per se, he has a great character, and he has really nice gaits, and he's a really, really nice horse and just friendly and really easygoing. And with Jessica sort of pushing, and with Robert looking for this horse randomly on his blog for Sid, I kind of thought, you know what, this might be an opportunity to really see. And we didn't really know until we put Sydney up on him whether or not he would manage be able to adapt, and he was perfect with her right from the beginning.
Well, I've seen them together, and they're great. Now, it's really nice, I think, that you have kind of beyond a normal buyer-seller relationship, you kind of continued this relationship with Sydney, and beyond just grooming for her at the WEG, you've also done some fundraising for her. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I constantly tell people, that I feel so lucky and so blessed to be part of their journey together and part of Sydney's journey in general. So for me, whether she's riding Wentworth or Willie Wesley or Copley or whoever she's riding, for me, it's her that is inspiring, and it's her and, her riding abilities and what she does that really inspires me. So I sort of was thinking, knowing that she was going to be pushing towards going to WEG and then potentially to Rio in the future, I was sitting at home thinking the challenge of me being in Canada and Sydney riding for the U.S. is that I can't really reach out to any big companies per se because they sponsor Canadian athletes. So I thought, okay, what can I do personally on a personal level? I have talked so much to all my friends and my family and people around me about her. And so when I decided to do my fundraising, I decided to do it sort of on a personal level. So I signed up for Ottawa race weekend, so it's a full weekend of different various distances of running. So I used that as my platform to fundraise for her. So I reached out to everyone I knew, and thankfully, because everyone had heard her story and sort of had kind of fallen in love with her as a person, even though most of them have never really met her, I just said, look, I really want to do this. I really want to help her, and I want to raise a little bit of money to help get her to France this year if she makes the team. And if not, put it aside and have her use it towards her training and whatnot. So I ran a 5K race, and I raised some money for her to, used it as I think I called it Run for Sid's Para-Quest or something like that. So for me, it was kind of a way to not only share her story with everybody, and I was so grateful with the support I received and was kind of blown away, to be honest, but it also forced me to get into really good shape too, and kind of push myself personally and say, if she gets up every day with that smile that everyone knows her for on her face, and running a 5K isn't really that difficult, and if I can spread the word, and people. I wore, it was myself and my mom and two of my close friends that did it. And we all wore T-shirts with Sid's logo on it. So we were able to sort of talk to people at the race, and people were asking, what are you here running for? And I was able to sort of spread her story a little bit even further up here. So that was it was very rewarding for me to be able to do that for her.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And how was it revealed to you that you were going to be a groom for Sydney, for the WEG?
Well, I am in pretty much constant contact with them, just in general, sending jokes back and forth and asking how she's doing. And I've been keeping a very close eye on selection trials. And, Anna, her mom, was texting me with her scores and that kind of thing. So I got a call from Anna, and I missed the call, but she left me a message. And all she said was, so I have a really big favor to ask you. Give me a call back. Don't worry, nothing's wrong. Everyone's good. And then I called her back, and she's like, so what do you think? Do you think you'd like to come to WEG with us? And I just went, oh, yeah, of course.
Of course.
I said, is that even a question? Like, for me, I had always thought about the idea of trying to go independently on my own and go and watch her. But so having this opportunity to not only go and watch, but to be able to help her, achieve this huge dream of hers has been amazing. So one phone call of Anna saying, I have a favor, it kind of is how it all went into motion.
So what are you going to be responsible for? I mean, obviously most of us know what grooms do, but what are you going to be responsible for behind the scenes?
Well, as far as I know that the fine details are still being ironed out. But as far as I know, I'm actually the groom that's going to be flying with the horses on the airplane. So, yeah, I'm actually very excited about that. I'm really looking forward to it. So for that part of it, it'll be myself and I believe Rebecca Hart's groom. We're going to be traveling together and making sure the horses get onto the plane okay, and then making sure they are okay during the flight. And then I know that once they land, we're going to, take them from Amsterdam to Germany. So we're going to be traveling with the horses at that point of the journey as well. So at that point, it's going to be just making sure that all of the team horses are okay and happy and healthy for their trip. And once they arrive, I'm going to be helping Sydney with some of her initial training before Wes arrives, and making sure Willie Wesley is happy and healthy, and then from that point on, from then all the way through to the end of the horse show, just being, sort of her person handling the horse, so that she can focus on her own personal stuff and doesn't have to worry about the horse and whether or not it's braided yet or tacked up or that kind of thing. So just making sure that she has a stress-free ride is kind of, I think, the overall goal of my job.
Well, you're going to love the team. They're all wonderful. Their horses are great. So I think you're going to be very excited when you meet everybody.
I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm like, I know I'm Canadian, so I'm sort of an outsider, but everyone, like I said, has been so welcoming and so excited. And I think the whole team dynamic seems to be a really good one. And I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really great experience for, I think, everybody, but I think I have a lot to learn from everyone as well.
Now, we found out from Sid that she's spending a few more days in France afterwards. What are you planning on doing? Are you planning on seeing maybe Paris or anything else?
Well, I don't think so, only because I work full-time for the government here at home. So I was able to somehow swing getting 3 weeks off from my boss at very short notice. But so I'm going to be heading home on the 30th or the 31st when the horses ship out. I'm actually going to fly home with them as well, back to New Jersey, and then probably sleep over in New Jersey and then drive home and go back to work. But I wish I could stay, but I'm hoping that throughout the time that we're there, maybe do a little bit of traveling around with Sid and a little bit of sightseeing and that kind of thing. Because I've never been to Germany or France, so I'm really excited. Even just a little bit of touristy stuff. But I mean, I know the main reason that we're there is for the horse show, so that'll probably be my main focus.
I always find it really hard when we're traveling to actually get to see the places because the horse shows always look the same.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You're like, there's a barn and there's, a ring and a warm-up ring and then there's a wash stall. And that's pretty much, that'll be my course. The muck pile, the stalls, the ring, and then back again. You know what I mean? So, but I'm really excited about it regardless.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today with Ellie and I. So before we wrap, Ellie, tell us what's going on with you these days up in Michigan.
Well, recently I just went down to NHA-YRC. I volunteered as an e-scribe, and I was able to catch up with Reese, who's one of the regular hosts of the program.
Oh, you got to see Reese? Got to hang out with Reese a bit? Yeah, good.
Reese and I hanged out. We went over to the farm, and we went out to dinner. It was really nice.
She's super nice, isn't she?
Yeah, she and I, when she goes down to Florida, rode at the same barn, and so I know her from there as well. And so it was really nice catching with her. And I've been, since Gladstone, I've been training hard with my own horse, Louie, and we are putting together a new freestyle, thanks to Terry Gallo and Classic Cur, and I'm hoping to get out and show that in August, and I'm hoping to finish up my bronze medal this summer and do some third level stuff. So hopefully you'll all go well.
And I know you've been doing some traveling too, haven't you?
Yeah, I just went home to Minnesota for a wedding from a high school friend of mine. We used to ride together, and she's been living abroad in Singapore, so I haven't seen her in a long time. And they had a small wedding stateside. Her husband's Indian, so they had a wedding in India, and they had one here. And so that was really nice to see her and be a part of that. And I'm also going to be traveling down to Wellington again soon. I bought a condo down there this spring, and I'm hoping to relocate there. And now I have to move all my furniture from storage in Minnesota and head down there. So that'll be a fun adventure.
Oh, wow. Well, congratulations.
If you come in the next few weeks, I will be using you for a few things. Maybe come to the hospital. I'm delivering in Wellington.
Welcome to Florida. Welcome to Florida. Here, babysit and change diapers.
Exactly.
You have that to look forward to. Well, that's terrific. Yeah. I'm so excited for you to get to come down to Florida and hang out.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait another month. It's pretty hot right now.
Yeah. Well, it'll take a while to organize the movers, so I'm not too worried.
We're going to have to try and do one of these shows all together in Wellington sometime over the winter. I'll have to come down, and we'll just have to all get together and do the show.
Make sure
we have our first. Our first Para-Dressage show is the beginning of January, right after New Year's down here. So I think that might be a good time. Even.
Yeah, I have no excuse. I live 3 hours away, so I have no excuse. I have to come down and hang out with you guys sometime.
We'd be happy to have you for sure.
That'll be fun. Well, that's it for this week. Reese and Philip will be back next week. You can find our show notes and links to today's guests on the website at dressageradio.com. You can like us on Facebook. Just search for Dressage Radio Show. Also, the best way to listen to the Dressage Radio Show is on the Horse Radio Network app. If you have iOS or Android, just head to the App Store and search for Horse Radio Network. Download it. It's free, and it's simple and easy to use. It's the best way to listen to the shows. So head on over there for that. You can find out more about the Para-Equestrian Association where? Leslie?
USPEA.org.
USPEA.org. Or on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Of course.
Very good. Nellie, do you have a Facebook page that people can follow or a website?
I have my own. I haven't updated my Facebook in forever, but I have my own individual page that people can follow me on. That is Ellie Brimmer, Para-Equestrian.
Okay. Very good. Well, thank you guys for doing this again. Good luck next time we talk. You're going to have a baby.
I know, it's wild.
Well, Lindsay, you have good luck to you and Ellie on your move. Have a great time.
Thank you. Remember, one man's wrong lead is another man's counter canter.